Welcome to Sacred Harmony, where soul meets science and healing goes far deeper than the surface. Tonight, we are joined by Dr. Albert Bramante, a performance psychologist, talent agent, and master of mental rewiring. With decades of experience behind the curtain of human potential, Albert's here to explore the deep alignment between the mind and the soul, how we can tune into inner truth instead of external noise, and start living from our essence, not our ego. Welcome to the show, Albert. It's an honor to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really glad you invited me.
Mhm. So, what does sacred alignment mean to you in a world dominated by performance and productivity?
What it means is having everything kind of lined up and going perfectly. So, whether it's the exact performance or the exact mindset and the exact path that you're going on, if it's all aligned together in a sense, it works in harmony. So, your body, mind, and spirit are kind of all working together on the same path. And that's of wellness and of achievement. So it's kind of like having all your ducks in a row.
Right. And have you seen a clear shift in your clients' mental well being once they begin to live from this aligned state?
Absolutely. Then not only do they feel better physically, but they're more energetic and they also are more successful because they're adopting, a growth mindset. So there's a whole host of things that can happen there.
hmm And that's such a profound reframe as success not as output but as inner congruence. That's where real peace starts.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And you speak about repatterning belief systems. What are some of the most common limiting scripts we carry unknowingly?
Well, it could be a variety of factors. Sometimes I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. People are going to find out I'm a fraud. They don't like me. Uh, I'm not worthy enough to be talking about what I'm talking, about in the sense. So it could be a whole host of things.
Definitely. And
Mhm.
how do you help someone even begin to identify what beliefs they're operating from?
Well, the first step is help them really unpack it, like figure out what exactly is happening, what exactly is going wrong, in a sense. That would be the one thing I would definitely kind of say is like we would focus on, what your limiting beliefs are and work with somebody on a one-to-one basis in a sense.
100%. And we are often running on inherited stories, stories that don't even belong to us. The awareness alone feels like liberation.
Absolutely, because there's one thing that I've recently kind of started investigating or discovering is it's called generational trauma, where we inherit sometimes the trauma of our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents, our ancestors, and they can become part of our own cycle. So I think that's part of like what we have to realize and understand that that might be also a factor in a sense happening.
Totally. And what does it look like to live from a soul identity rather than a social script?
Well, a soul identity is really going by to who you truly are, and you're not trying to be what somebody else wants you to be, or what society tells you to be, or what your parents tell you to be, or what your teacher tell you to be. Who are you at your core? And that is when true happiness will build up. When you can live from your core being. In a sense.
100%. And can you share a moment in your own life where you had to make that very shift?
Well, I think for me, having the spiritual upbringing. Now, I grew up in a family which was pretty much blue collar, um, and mainly more athletics. Now, I wasn't that type. I was more of the type that like to read. I like to help people. I like psychology, and at first, my family tried to mold me to become athletic, to become the athlete that everybody else was. It wasn't until I realized, hey, this is what I want to do, and now I'm happy, and they're very supportive. But the true nature is that it becomes really focusing more on what you want.
Hmm. Definitely. And that moment of choosing soul over safety, that's when life gets real and meaningful, even if it's uncomfortable at first.
Absolutely, and we need to be okay with being comfortable, and that being uncomfortable is not a bad thing at all. And so we should be a little bit uncomfortable to that.
Mhm. For sure. Uh, And from a psychologist lens, how do spirituality and mental health support each other rather than stand in conflict?
Well, mental health, spirituality can really be, it's all about being aligned, because when you're aligned, especially spiritually, you're going to find that your mental health is going to be a lot stronger. And actually, spirituality really brings on resiliency in a sense, because it helps us to understand what's going on, and it gives us perspective of what's going on, what we're designed to do, and what the end goal is, and that will help keep us focused, so that we don't when we start having the hardships or the struggles, it'll get us through it rather than running against it. So in other words, we grow from these hardships rather than necessarily be worried so much about it.
That's amazing. And do you think the clinical world is becoming more open to this intersection?
I think so. I think we're becoming more and more spiritual as a society. At least that's the way I look at things.
That's great. And it's time we stop separating what's spiritual from what's psychological. Both are vital pieces of the human puzzle.
Uh huh. Yes, they truly are. They're truly, a part of they're two sides of the same coin.
They are. And you mentioned tools for tuning into sacred harmony. What are a few practices you recommend to your clients?
Meditation, visualization. So just really taking time out, whether it's even 5 to 10 minutes a day, just to become truly aligned with what it is you really want, in a sense. So it's really becoming aligned of who you are, in a sense.
Mhm. Yeah, right. And how can someone tell when they are in alignment? Are there inner signals we can learn to recognize?
Yeah, well, one thing would feel it should feel really good in your body, even physiologically. So getting a sense of relaxation, contentment, feeling content, feeling relaxed. And that what I would say would be the biggest step to know that you're reaching alignment when you start to feel content in your body.
Hmm. And that inner compass you speak of, it's like tuning a frequency that's always been there. We just have to quiet the noise.
Right, exactly. Because we have all the answers we need within us.
We definitely do. So, Dr. Albert Bramante reminds us that real transformation begins when we stop performing for the world and start listening to the soul. Sacred alignment isn't a destination, it's a daily rhythm, a choice to live fully, intentionally, authentically. So, take a breath, release the old script, and start writing your story from the inside out. Keep aligning, keep becoming.